Alright, welcome back everybody. Looper Norris here. Hope everyone's doing alright. I am back with another video. Thank you guys for the likes and the views and the subscriptions. It's been helping me a whole lot. Really do appreciate it. I can't wait to get through this list completely. So the last video we ended off with 26 with Scarface. So today we're starting with number 25, Bun B. And I put Bun B at number 25. Well, first, he's a rapper from Houston, Texas. He's mostly famous for his involvement with UGK, Underground Kings. He was under that duo alongside with Pimp C. The only reason why I didn't put Pimp C on this list, just because based off of what I heard from him, Bun B is a better rapper than Pimp C. So I felt like it would be a better idea to use Bun B as the rapper to represent UGK. He's been a great rapper for a long time. He's one of those rappers that started really young and had a really long career all the way up until today. I think he still does features and he still makes his own music up until today. His first solo album, Trill OG, it got 5 mics from the Source reviews. That tells you how good of a rapper Bun B is. He has that like aggressive style, can put together flows that you only hear from like southern rappers. He represents that style really well, talking about like cars and like rims. And I feel like Bun B is just one of those rappers that had the skill, talent to be able to rap the way he raps. He might be the best rapper coming out of Texas. All of his songs kind of sound the same. It works for him. So a lot of rappers, they'll be making all their songs the same way, but with Bun B, I feel like it just works for him. Moving on to number 24, we got Big L. Big L is a New York rapper from Harlem, New York. He's an old school pioneer, so he's one of those rappers that other rappers looked up to as like the greatest of all time. He's a rapper's rapper. Most rappers like Jay-Z and like Nas and like Biggie Smalls and a lot of those guys looked up to Big L as their influence before they got going with their music, you know what I mean? He's one of those rappers. He was killed in a drive-by when he was really young. He was only like 19 years old or 20 years old. And a lot of people say if he never got killed in that drive-by, he would ended up being one of the greatest rappers like ever in everybody's book. It would have gave him enough time to prove to everyone that he's like a top 5 rapper, an all-time rapper. And honestly, I agree with that. I feel like if he never passed away so early, he would be a lot higher in my list. He would probably be in like the top 10 of my list. He's just one of those rappers that was very clever with his punchlines and always used references that you don't expect him to use. He was able to use his street knowledge and a lot of the things that he would witness in the streets, put him into these clever like rhyme schemes where he's using references from like everywhere, you know what I mean? He was one of the first rappers, especially out of the East Coast, out of New York, to kind of like come up with that style, coming up with intelligent lines but keeping it street. I feel like Jay-Z and Nas kind of took a lot of notes from that. Next we got Raekwon at number 23. Raekwon is from Staten Island, New York. He is one of the best Wu-Tang members in my opinion. He's one of the best Wu-Tang members. He did a lot of his music with Ghostface. Ghostface is another rapper from Wu-Tang. Those two, they make a lot of songs together, you know what I mean? It's sort of like Method Man and Redman linking up with each other to make music throughout their careers, all throughout their careers. It's a little bit like that. Ghostface and Raekwon, they kind of share the same relationship whenever they're making collaborations with each other. Raekwon, besides GZA and Ghostface, is the most lyrical rapper coming out of Wu-Tang. His style is very, very original too. He has a very original style. You can tell it's him right away whenever you hear him rapping, especially off of the album Only Built for Cuban Links. This was a big time album, a big time solo album out of the Wu-Tang camp that came out in like the mid 90s. It might be the best solo, maybe besides like Liquid Swords from GZA. Like I honestly believe that Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links it was the best solo that came out of all the solo albums from Wu-Tang. He kind of changed his style from there and here. Like he can be very lyrical. He can talk about straight up street stuff, entire verse. He can be violent with his lyrics. He can be like intelligent with his lyrics. He can teach you something. He has a very wide range of like styles that he can like mess with. Yeah, that's really it. Like Raekwon, definitely one of the greatest rappers ever. He's a top 3 member out of Wu-Tang. And next at number 22, we got Ghostface. I always thought Ghostface is better than Raekwon. It's almost leveled. Ghostface is a little bit better though, I think. think. I think Ghostface is the best rapper out of Wu-Tang overall. GZA is the most lyrical one. I think Raekwon has the best like overall criteria when it comes to like the different things you can do making a verse or making a song when you're rapping. I feel like Ghostface is the best out of like all those things altogether. Like I think overall Ghostface is the best rapper out of Wu-Tang. This is exactly why I have him at number 22. They're one of those bands, to me, they're probably the greatest hip-hop band ever, the hip-hop group ever, the most influential. After they came out, a lot of other rap groups came out and kind of like try to like mimic the same thing, like Odd Future, Rough Riders a little bit, you know what I mean? The thing with Ghostface, man, he has such a cool style. Like he's lyrical, his style is crazy. You never hear anybody rapping the way he raps, you know what I mean? His voice is very different. There's Action Bronson, right? That's kind of funny how I brought that up. He has a song called Shark Niggas, or Ghostface has a song where he's talking about other rappers will copy other rappers and he doesn't want any rapper to sound like him. If you're a Wu-Tang fan, you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this. Years after, you see a guy like Action Bronson come out of nowhere, and like there's no knock to Action Bronson because I personally like Action Bronson. I think he's a really good rapper. I listen to his music. He sounds a lot like Ghostface. That's the first thought that came to my head immediately when I first heard. I immediately thought about Ghostface. It's not really the same style. They just have the same voice, which is really weird how their voice can sound the same, that much the same. Next, we got Black Thought at number 21. Black Thought is a rapper from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He started his career rapping with Questlove. Black Thought is the lead vocalist out of the band The Roots. The Roots is the band they're the band of Jimmy Fallon show. So you ever watch the Jimmy Fallon TV show, the late night talk show host? The band playing the music for his show, that's The Roots, right? And a lot of you guys watching this, you probably already knew that. The Roots is basically Black Thought as the lead vocalist. Questlove is the drummer. So you see that big guy with the big afro? That's Questlove. He's like a top 5 producer of all time. He's the best drummer. And Questlove isn't the middle, he's like the mastermind behind the instrumental like part about The Roots, right? Black Thought is the lyricist that represents The Roots, right? So he's also part of the Soulquarians alongside Questlove. He started off doing graffiti in the streets before he got into hip-hop. At number 20, we got Jay Electronica. Jay Electronica, a rapper from New Orleans, Louisiana, the same city Lil Wayne is from. He is signed under Jay-Z's label, Roc Nation. He's probably the best rapper signed under Jay-Z's label. I feel like Jay-Z looked at him as like one of the rappers that represented what he was about the most. He is closer to like J. Cole, if anything, than to any other rapper, because they're very comparable because they use a lot of long verses to make their music. It's kind of like the way I make my music too, but they use a lot of long verses where like the beat's playing out and they're just rapping the entire way. They're both very well known to do that in their music. And Jay Electronica, he's very lyrical. It almost feels like he doesn't belong in the mainstream world. He's definitely well known worldwide. His style and his talent doesn't really match the mainstream world. He doesn't rap like a mainstream rapper. He's more of like an underground. His style is more like underground, like lyrical, independent, while everything around him is mainstream and commercial. Jay Electronica is a little bit older too. Like he's in his 40s currently now. Moving on to number 19, we got Busta Rhymes. And Busta Rhymes is a rapper from East Flatbush, New York. He is a rapper that started his career with Leaders of the New School alongside Charlie Brown. Busta Rhymes, he was the biggest name out of that group. It was sort of like Scarface with the Ghetto Boys, you know what I mean? The one rapper out of the group getting more attention. It's deserved, you know what I mean? Like Busta Rhymes was definitely the best rapper out of that group, the Leaders of the New School. He's well known for his fast rapping. He's really good at rapping really fast. Sort of the way Twista can rap and like Tech 9. His lines carry so much punch too. It's not even about his style and how fast he can rap. He's a good writer too. When you listen to his lyrics, he's a really good songwriter and he's a really good punchline writer too. Probably one of the best I've ever heard. He would be the best at battling. Like if you were to battle a guy like Busta Rhymes, I feel like he would just smoke everybody. Most of his career was with Flip Mode Squad. It's basically, or a label, one or the other, or it could be both. He's a Native Tongue member too, Native Tongue Posse member. Just straight up one of the greatest rappers ever, man. Like the greatest, one of the best styles. A lot of rappers try to mimic his style. I feel like he was one of those rappers that, you know what I mean, a lot of people wanted to like look up to, you know. He was dominating rap in the 2000s. He could still make music now too. Back in like the 90s, he was just going crazy with it. The early 2000s, the late 90s, like he was definitely one of the best rappers in the game, 100%. So we're gonna keep moving on to the next number here. At number 18, we got A$AP Rock. So A$AP Rock is a New York rapper, another New York rapper from Northport, New York. He's an underground rapper, and I'm not talking about A$AP Rocky. It's kind of funny how their names they sort of sound the same. A$AP Rock and then A$AP Rocky. It's a weird coincidence how it's like that, and they're both rappers too. He is an underground rapper. Next at number 18, he's under an independent label. Like he's not in the mainstream at all. He's from Northport, New York. He's like a super lyrical rapper with a very like weird style. I feel like only like hardcore hip hop fans would know who this guy is, just because he's super underground. He has like maybe 2 videos that got like super big. A lot of people know who he is. He's pretty famous worldwide. He's just not mainstream. He's not mainstream famous, you know what I mean? People know who he is, right? Like if you go on his YouTube, he probably has more than a few songs with like millions of like listens. He's famous, but he's not mainstream famous. He's an underground rapper with like a super lyrical style, and I say this, he might be the most lyrical rapper I've ever heard when it comes to just who can come up with the most styles and the most flows, who has the widest vocabulary, and he might be the smartest and the most lyrical rapper I've ever heard in my life. And he's not the kind of rapper that I would typically listen to on an average day. He kind of has that ability to like use words that you never heard of before. His vocabulary is crazy, man. You listen to this guy, you'll hear words from him that you've never heard in your life, but then you look it up on the dictionary, you play the verse out again, and you're just like, his music's very mind-blowing. What he does is just, I feel like it's extremely difficult. Next we got Earl Sweatshirt at number 17. Earl Sweatshirt is a rapper from Chicago, Illinois. He started his career actually with Odd Future. He lived in Chicago, and I think later on he moved to, I'm not sure if it's Sacramento, California, but he moved to California, attended a school that Tyler the Creator attended. So I think he was born in Chicago, and then he lived his like high school years in California with Tyler the Creator. After a while, Tyler the Creator and Earl Sweatshirt together, they started making raps together. I think they started skating with each other at first when they were both in like high school. So I think Tyler the Creator is like 2 years older than Earl, or like 3 years older than Earl. So Tyler the Creator, they started off skating with each other, skating around, and then eventually they started rapping with each other. When they started their careers off, this is around the time the internet was started to like get more advanced. He's the most lyrical rapper out of that group. And it's funny because Odd Future, they remind me a lot of like Wu-Tang. I don't even think it's a little bit close. I think Earl Sweatshirt is the best rapper out of Odd Future. You listen to this guy's lyrics, he's like a poet, uses hip-hop as like a way to get his poems out. He suffered with depression, serious depression, where he was actually losing weight. We're gonna keep moving on to number 16. We got Ice Cube. So I put Ice Cube at number 16. He is a rapper from Los Angeles, California. Started his career with NWA. He is a West Coast rapper. He's known for that Straight Outta Compton album with the NWA collective. He made a bunch of solo albums too, like a whole string of solo albums. He might be, out of all the West Coast rappers, especially because like I put him higher than Snoop Dogg. It's a pioneer rapper, you know. He had that lyrical style coming out of the West Coast. He was so talented and so lyrical. He didn't have to rely on just talking about violence. Pioneer rapper. A lot of people take notes from him till this day. At number 15, we got Big Daddy Kane. So Big Daddy Kane is another New York rapper. So just like I was saying before, a lot of rappers on my list are from New York. New York is where it started, so not surprised at all. Big Daddy Kane from Brooklyn, New York. He's a pioneer, super lyrical rapper from the late 80s to like mid to the late 80s. He influenced a lot of these New York guys to be the rappers they've become. He started his career with the Juice Crew. He's also a beat maker too. That's all I got for today's video. Thank you guys again for watching. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Peace. Looper Norris.